Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another interview where I'm really pleased to be joined by former Everton striker James Vaughan, still an active player in his own right. Welcome to the show, James. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm brilliant. The first time I've had been able to interview someone with the same first name as me, so this is going to be an interesting one. So we don't get confused between who's who. We'll probably refer to you as Vaughany every now and then just to distinguish.
Yeah, most people do anyway, that's fine.
Fantastic, that works out very well then. So first of all, of course, you're still an active player, like I say. You're playing for Tranmere Rovers now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, still playing, still trying to keep it going, so I'm still enjoying it, which is good. So at Tranmere, which is local as well, so I'm enjoying it. And
that's it, you're only up the road from us, which is great. Have you managed to, well, silly question really, there's not really been much chance for you to get to Goodison this year, has there? It's been a bit of
I went last season, took my little boy for the first time to the United game at Goodison, so that was an experience.
Is that the 4-0, was it?
No, what score was it? 5-2, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
4-2.
4-2.
What score was it? No, we scored early. Calvert-Lewin scored.
Oh, right.
And then, I can't remember.
That was only right before the lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like last year, though, to be fair, doesn't it? It's just been that kind of year.
Almost into one, doesn't it? Yeah.
So, of course, you rejoined Tranmere on a permanent deal now, are you? So you're happy to be back up at this neck of the woods, are you?
Yeah, really happy. I've lived around the Liverpool area for a while now, so to be back playing local, near the family and near all my friends is really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And Tranmere, of course, you're happy to be playing for Tranmere, of course. It's obviously it's a club where I think I think they're back in League Two now, so I think you're certainly going to get a lot of game time. It's certainly that's the worst you could do, isn't it? League Two. I think you're a very good striker, still in your own right. Bagged a few in League One, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean it's not the level. It's a club, like I say, that I played for in League One last year. Unfortunately, we got what happened to us happened, and we got moved down a level. So I was dead keen to be part of the rebuild and get back to the league where I think we deserve to be.
Yeah, I think that given that the relegation was very harsh on you, of course, it was an administrative one, wasn't it? Because of the whole early termination of the season. There's no doubt I think that you guys can bounce back. So best of luck for the upcoming season with Tranmere, of course. But we're obviously here to talk about your Everton career, and we'll start with your time in the Everton Academy. How old were you when you joined? Because of course you're a Brummie lad by trade, aren't you? If you will say by trade, you were born in Birmingham, weren't you?
Yeah, no. We moved to Preston for a few years when I was 6, and pretty much straight away I was playing in the tournament and got scouted. So from the age of 6 till I left, I was always at Everton.
That's fantastic. I mean, I wasn't actually aware it was that young. I didn't know that you'd been at the club that long, to be honest, which is fantastic to hear. And of course, you worked with a lot of great coaches as well, didn't you? The likes of Andy Holden and people like that. And what kind of impact did they have on your early career?
Yeah, they do. It's not just the coaching. Everton as an academy and people, they set a standard of what they want you to do as a person, and that set me up for the rest of my life. So not just in football, but as a person, that they moulded me. So it was a great experience and a great upbringing.
Yeah, I've heard this from a lot of players. I mean, we've always been known for looking after our young players, and it's good to see that we were certainly that way inclined with when you were about anyway. Of course,
definitely they looked after me really well.
Yeah, is there any other coaches in particular who had a big impact on your career? Because I know Andy Holden was the main youth coach around that time, but was there anyone else?
No, Neil Dewsnip was a big influence on my career. Yeah. As was, to be fair, Gary Ablett for a long period of time looked after us really well before he left and went to Liverpool. And there was loads. Ray Hall was a big influence on me.
Ray Hall. I knew there was someone called Hall. I was trying to pick your brain for there. I was I've heard he was a brilliant new coach around that time, which is good to say a shout out for him as well.
Yeah, they were a great setup. There's loads of people, Chris Lloyd as well. So there's a lot of people to mention, and without all of them, none of it would have been possible. So I'm grateful to all of them.
That's brilliant, of course. And obviously you move on to the first team. Your first involvement with the first team was a defeat to Manchester United, where you were on the bench. I think you were still only 16. I think it was you were playing on the bench against a Man United side, which had the likes of Ronaldo and Rooney in it, I think. Did it all feel a bit surreal at the start?
Yeah, it was. It come out of nowhere really. I was doing quite well in the reserves and trained the first team for a while, but to get thrust in and put on the bench at such a young age, I don't think at the time I really realised what was happening. But I look back now and think it's just all an amazing experience, and even that night was great.
Yeah, it's obviously not the result we wanted, and I think you'd probably like to have got on and maybe tried to make a difference. I think that was you didn't actually get on that day, did you?
No. Palace was my first appearance,
and that's exactly what we're moving on to next time. You got your chance came against Palace, of course. 15 minutes left, you come on and you become the youngest Premier League goal scorer for Everton. The record that still holds to this day. Talk us through your memories of that day. Obviously, when you got subbed on, and how did you feel going into the game? Were you expecting to get on at any point?
Not before the game, no, because like I said, I've been on the bench a few times before and hadn't managed to come on. So, it was just a case of being hopeful again that something might happen that day. And as you see the goals going 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, I thought today might be the chance. So I was up warming up, just praying for my chance really, and luckily it came that day.
And of course, I think I can remember the goal quite well. It was a low cross, and you sort of scored at the front post, didn't you? It was
yeah.
And how many touches did you have before that?
I don't know, to be honest. I remember making a couple of tackles and the fans going mad, which kind of was the story of my
Everton fans in a nutshell. That though, isn't it? They love a good tackle,
and that started me off. And I think them tackles got me a bit of confidence because the fans got behind me straight away, and then the rest of it's a blur. Really, I remember the goal, and then after that, it was just chaos. Really.
Yeah, I can imagine it must have been doing somersaults. Like I say, it's still the youngest goal scorer for Everton in the Premier League. I mean, you're the only one who can say that.
Yeah, no, at the time, I don't think, like I say, I don't really think I realised what I'd done at the time. It's just, I came on the pitch and scored a goal, which is what I'd been doing at all the other levels. So it was just the next progression for me. But now I look back at the age I did it and the size of the club that I did it for, and, in the Premier League, it's a fantastic achievement and something, that I'll be proud of for the rest of my life.
That's absolutely unprecedented, and of course it hasn't been matched. So it's an accolade that it can't be taken away from you. You've held it now for 15 years, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago now, but like I say, it's just, I look back on it now and it's a really proud moment for me and my family, and hopefully I can talk about it for a long time.
Tell you what, I wish it felt that long ago for me. It feels like it was only yesterday I was watching that team, and it was a really good time. Of course, we had a very good season, finished fourth, got to play in the Champions League qualifiers the year after. We spoke to a couple of your former teammates on the channel earlier on this year, the likes of Joseph Yobo, Marcus Bent.
Yeah.
They said how special that team was and the sort of spirit you had that season. You worked hard for each other. Why do you think it worked so well? And was it good to be part of that team? There's a lot of togetherness in that squad, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was a kid coming to a group of lads like you mentioned, like Marcus Bent, Tim Cahill, David Weir, Alan Stubbs, Lee Carsley, some real senior players, and to learn from that first and foremost was unbelievable, and it's stuff that I revert back to now as an older player, trying to look after some of the younger lads like they looked after me. But as a squad, to this day, I've never seen a group of lads come together and work so hard for each other, and you've seen it in the results. I don't think anyone will argue the fact we didn't have the best players in the world at the time, but we'd give anyone a game just because of team spirit, the way we were organised, and the way we worked for each other.
Such a gritty team, wasn't it? And it was great, obviously, like you say, as a kid coming in to learn from these kind of players. You had a number of players in the dressing room when you go into these into these training sessions. You have the likes of Big Dunk as well, David Weir, as you say, Hibbert, Osman. There's a lot of names there, characters. They were characters, weren't they?
Yeah, it was brilliant. You looked either side and you knew that the person you were playing with was going to give everything for the team and give everything for you. So, if you weren't going to do that, you wouldn't have fit in. And that was just the mentality we all had, and we all just came together and fought for each other, and you've seen the results for that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic season. Did anyone in particular take you under your wing, and maybe mentor you, if you like? Or was it a case of you just sort of getting on with it by yourself?
No, I think to single out one wouldn't be fair because they were all so good with me. They were all unbelievable from day one. I think going forward, I really looked up to Marcus Bent really took me under his wing and looked after me for a long time. And, Lee Carsley especially were brilliant for me. But then, like I say, to single them out, Tim Cahill, Duncan Ferguson, Dave Weir, Alan Stubbs, every one of them was brilliant.
I like the fact that you mentioned Carsley there, of course. He's a fellow Brummie, isn't he? That must have helped.
Yeah, it did, yeah. He's for me, he's one of the best people you could wish to meet in football. He was
He's absolutely
so good to me as a kid. Yeah, and one of the most underrated players I've ever played with as well.
Absolutely,
He was without him, I don't think the team would have been what it was. On the pitch and off the pitch, he just made everything gel. And like I say, he out of all of them stands out to me as how much he looked after me at that time.
Yeah, I think he's a very, very underrated player, but still very, very well liked at Everton. The fans remember him very, very fondly, and of course, what he contributed to that time surely must have helped with that. We mentioned a few names there, the likes of Leon Osman. Before he was known to be the prankster of the squad. Was there any sort of funny behind the scenes stories? Maybe he could share with us. Ozzy was known to be a bit of a practical joker, wasn't he?
No, they were just always at it. Ibbo was the silent assassin. He'd be involved, but no one would ever suspect him. But Ozzy was the loud one, so you knew if something was going on,
he'd be in and around it.
But yeah, there was all sorts going on. There was nothing, ever too heavy, but it's all good natured, and everyone bought into it. And it was good fun to be around.
Class. But it was a really interesting team. Obviously, David Moyes was the manager. What was it like to be coached by him? He must have played a massive part in the sort of early stages of your career. Was there any specific methods to his coaching behind the scenes, like something that maybe stuck out to you?
It was just the intensity of how much he wanted us to work and press and, work hard for each other. And he was so thorough with the way, the shape and the organisation of the opposition. It was really good to see. And like I say, at the time, I was a kid. I just thought that's how it was. As you get older and you work with different managers, you realise how thorough he was, how hard he had us working, and how fit he got us all.
Yeah, it was a very, very fit team, and you think we saw that in a lot of games. We scored a lot of late goals.
Yeah, definitely. We kept going. We were never dead, that team, and that was the way all the way through my career. I was at Everton. I always had David Moyes as the manager, and that was the mentality of the squad. Yeah,
there was always a lot of late goals scored in that era, and a lot of great memories were made. Of course, moving forward, you didn't really see much action in the 2005-06 season. I think you picked up the first of many quite bad injuries, did you not?
Yeah, I got injured. I went away with the England under-19s, I think it was, in August, and didn't play again for the rest of that season. So that was a pretty difficult time. You're ready to kick on and get a pretty bad injury, which kept me out for over a year. So that was hard. But it's another thing that made me a lot stronger. And again, the lads came around me and helped me out, and I managed to get back.
And you came back, and of course, I think it was one of your first games back. You scored against West Ham in the last minute, didn't you?
Yeah, it was. No, that was another. That was like a second debut for me. Really, it was. Like I said, I'd been out for a long time, and at such a young age, I'd gone through a lot. So to come back and score that goal again was brilliant for me. Great memory.
I know. I think that was one. I think everyone was very happy to see you come back and score like that. It was after having such a hard time. And of course, you went on to have a decent season. I think you stuck a few more away before the season was over. I think none more. So I think you scored against Chelsea on the last day.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, it was a bit stop-start after that, and then I got in the team towards the end of the season, and that's probably the best period of my career at Everton. Funny enough, the end of that season, I played a few games, scored a few goals, and
I really
enjoyed my time.
I remember towards the end of that season, there was at a game, I think you played fantastically well against Fulham.
Yeah.
Scored an absolute beauty of a goal in that game, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, no, that was one of the best memories because, Victor played in that game as well, scored as well. So the two of us growing up together at Everton to score in the same game in the Premier League was a dream come true for both of us.
You used to work brilliantly together, and you were close on and off the pitch, if I'm not mistaken. Is that still the case? You still talk a lot?
Yeah, no, we still talk too much if you ask me, but no, he's still, my best friend. He was best man at my wedding. He's godfather to my oldest boy, so we're still very close and speak a lot.
Yeah, and again, he was another one who was very well liked at Everton. I think both of you coming through, that was like sort of my era as a kid growing up, and used to both coming through. I think I was a big fan of both of you, so it was great to see us both score in that game, and I was at the game as well. So
Yeah,
that's a good memory for me.
Yeah.
I'm moving forward a little bit. Obviously, the next season, we got a 3-2 win against AZ Alkmaar away on a very cold night in the Netherlands, and no English side had ever beaten. I don't think any side had ever beaten AZ Alkmaar on their own ground in Europe for about 20, 30 years. I think some mad statistic like that. And of course, you scored the winner that night. I think from across from Victor himself. I think.
Yeah, it was. That was another good night. It was. Main memory from that night is how cold it was. It was literally the coldest night I've ever experienced. And normally I'm desperate to come on. And that night I was a bit like, sitting on the bench, freezing. I thought, I don't know how this is going to go. But luckily I managed to come on and get the winner. So that was in the UEFA Cup as well. So
yeah, I think
another one of those memories.
There was a little bit of a Twitter poll, I think, a few weeks ago, like between Everton fans about what was the coldest game you've ever been to, and I think a lot of people said that game. It was
yeah, I think if you were there, you know, I've never experienced anything like that. That was freezing.
But of course, a lot of fond memories came from that anyway. I think a lot of fans jumping up and down said they had to jump up and down and sing just to keep warm. So
obviously, yeah, no, you could tell with the atmosphere.
You definitely played your part in that one though, and it was a really good European campaign that season. To be fair, it was good to see like yourself and Victor both played quite a good part in that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did, but I think not long after that I got another injury, as I did at the time. So I missed a lot of it. But you know, watching the lads from the sides and seeing how well they were doing, it was some of the nights at Goodison and going forward, and that competition was brilliant. It's stuff that'll live with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but yeah, it was some great memories from that season. It was like I say, it was a good time. I was first growing up at that point, watching these games, and it was always great to watch us play in Europe at that time. We had a name, I think, at this point for giving young players a chance. Yourself and Victor are probably the two main examples from that time, but a lot of players since, the likes of Jack Rodwell, Jose Baxter, Dan Gosling. Do you feel David Moyes was good at giving young up-and-coming players a chance to make a name for themselves at Everton?
Yeah, he was definitely good, and you could see it from when you train with the reserves and go up to the first team. You knew that, you know, if you were training well, you'd get your chance. And at the time, I think the squad wasn't as big as it was now, and we needed the young players, and that credit to the academy, because they made these players that were good enough to play in the academy. And to be fair to the manager, he'd pick you if you were good enough. So it was definitely a great club to be at if you wanted to break into the first team.
Yeah, I think that's something like, as fans, we always love to see our youngsters come through, and I think it's probably like see yourself and Victor, like there was a lot of goodwill for the likes of you guys coming in and doing well at that time. It was good to see these players come through and make an impact. And of course, we talk about Dan Gosling. He scored like in the derby, didn't he, in the FA Cup, and then we get to the semi-final. And of course, that brings us to the penalty shootout. Vidic had just scored for United, and you step up to take our fourth penalty. We'd missed one and scored two. What were you thinking, stepping up to take that penalty? Are you nervous?
I was just thinking, no, do you know what? I can remember thinking, I'm gutted Vidic didn't miss, because mine would have been the winning pen, and he hit the post and went in.
That's so right, thinking, yeah.
No. But no, it was just one of those things. I was desperate to take a pen. We practiced all week, and I was really confident. So luckily the manager put me on one, and I wasn't really nervous taking the pen, but I watch it back now and I get nervous watching it, thinking, imagine I'd have missed. But that was a fantastic day. Another one of those. It was my first game back for 5 months after another injury. So
that's right, yeah.
That was a crazy day. That's for me the best day of my career.
Oh,
it was an unbelievable day, and something that I'll never ever forget.
I mean, sadly we didn't end up winning it, but that was probably the best day of my Everton supporting life as well. So you definitely played your part in that. And of course, let's not forget, I think, looking back at the penalty shootout, it was comfortably the best penalty of the day as well. It was brilliantly taken.
I don't know, but I think Baines will have something to say about that. But it was I was just happy to hit the back of the net. Like I say, I was really confident, knew what I was doing. I practiced the same penalty, so I was confident, and luckily for me, it went in. Yeah,
well, of course, we spoke with your former teammate Julian Lescott not long back, and he said that he wasn't committing himself to take a penalty, and he didn't want to be the hero, and he'd leave it to the lads who did. So were you one of them?
Well, I wouldn't have let him take one, put it that way. No, to be fair to him, I'd put my name forward pretty early to take one, and think I was getting bypassed a bit. And to be fair to Jolie, he spoke up and said, "Let Vaughan take one." And
Oh,
he did
fair
in the
play
end.
to him. I mean, and again,
Yeah,
another fellow Brummie, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we,
another
we
one
had
of
it,
the
we had him
good
on the
lads.
show as well. We've had him on the channel a couple of months ago as well. I spoke to him, and yeah, he was talking about this game a lot, and he was saying like he didn't want to take a penalty.
No,
But
none of us wanted him to take one either.
I've never seen him take one, and I don't think many people would want to. But yeah, it was
No,
a good.
but Julian was a great player as well.
He was a great player, but certainly not a penalty taker. That's not the first thing that springs to mind. Put it that way.
No, he's not, but he had his attributes. And to be fair, when he was playing well just before he got his move, I've never seen a defender play as well as he was playing for that period.
Yeah,
And
he
he went
was
on to do what he
absolute
was doing, and it was
quality that season. And Jags as well, of course, who took the penalty
yeah,
after you.
yeah. No, that was a great moment because if I'm not mistaken, I think he missed one before in the UEFA Cup. I
He
think.
did, yeah, he did.
So for him to step up the way he did and put the penalty away just shows the character of him. And as you go on and learn what he's about, there was never a doubt that he would have done that and scored.
Yeah, well, he scored all right, and obviously the fans went absolutely ballistic. It was fantastic,
Yeah.
and the iconic picture now is, of course, you run to Jags, absolutely losing your marbles. There's an
Yeah.
iconic picture jumping at Jags,
Yeah,
and
no,
it was a pure
that was a
elation,
great
wasn't it?
moment.
We love to look back on those kind of pictures, and you played a massive part in that again in a really good day for the club.
No, it was great. Like I say, I don't think no matter what I go on to do now, I'd be very surprised if anything comes close to that. With what I'd been through the months before, and to come back and win the game, get yourself to an FA Cup final, which is for me as a young boy, that was my dream to play in the FA Cup final. So for it all to come together on that day, and we get through with the team that I've been with since a boy was fantastic.
It's a massive achievement, and of course, like that picture of you and Jags is that's like an iconic picture in Everton history, certainly for like the likes of myself who haven't really seen much success. It's like probably one of the best memories of our Everton supporting lives. So like we've got a lot to thank you and that team for.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. Hopefully there'll be a few more better moments than that going forward.
Yeah, we're all thinking the same, mate. Don't you worry about that. But who knows? Playoff final or something next year. It might come around. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, you never know.
It's just all I know is like you'll be up for taking a penalty. That's it.
Yeah, no, I put myself out there, take a pen, and I'm always confident. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you score, but it's a chance to score a goal, isn't it? So I'll put my name forward always.
If you take half as good the penalty for Tranmere as you did in that semi-final, then you'll be quite fine, if you ask me.
Be all right, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course, we went on to the final and didn't win. The likes of Lampard and John Terry, Drogba and Elka, it was a really good team. Was it just a case of playing against a surreal team that day?
I think it was, yeah. I think at the time, it didn't feel like I felt at the time we could have won it, and we started well. Louis scored really early, and you think maybe it's our day, but it wasn't to be. But like I say, I look back now and I've managed to play an FA Cup final for my club, so it doesn't get any better than that. Well, it does if you win it, but it's still a proud moment for me to be able to say I played an FA Cup final for Everton, so I'm just happy about that.
You can't argue with that. You said you came off the bench, didn't you, for that game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was just desperate to get on the pitch, and I thought we could affect it and get the result, but it wasn't to be that day.
And that was about the. We didn't really see much more of it after that, unfortunately. I think you got one more goal the following season against Burnley, which was actually quite a good goal. But at this point, you start to go out on loan a lot, and I think you suffered with your injuries again.
Yeah, no, that's about right. I think what it was, I'd missed so much football over the years that, the gaffer wanted me to be coming off the bench and doing what I was doing, which was, I look back now and was brilliant. But for me as a player, I wanted to go out and play games and know what I was about, see if I could actually play week in, week out and make something of myself. So that was why the loans come about, and that's what happened really.
Yeah, of course. Sadly, your time at Everton was sort of curtailed by a number of injuries. I remember there was a couple of very bad ones. I remember a severed artery against Bolton, which was a really grim one for me. I'm like, I remember watching this game. I was like, well, it wasn't one for the faint-hearted. That one. How hard it is for players to come back from injuries like that when you're looking back at your time at Everton? Do you feel like these injuries held you back, and maybe what you could have added to the team?
I think they did. I think, to be fair, the Sebadaci one, I only missed one game in the end with it, but the injuries did definitely set me back, and I think that probably accelerated my eagerness to leave because I hadn't played much football and I wasn't getting much football, so I just wanted to know what I could do. Basically, I didn't want to be a sub for the rest of my career and think what if and whatnot. So that's where it came from, really. But injuries are what they are, and I'm just grateful that I managed to play as many games as I did for Everton.
Yeah, of course. There was a lot of brilliant players around that time as well. Like by this point, we had the likes of Arteta, Fellaini, Pienaar. There was a really good team at this point, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was it. Well, that was a lot of the conversations I had with David Moyes, really, because Lewis Howard was playing up front, and for me, he was brilliant. So I'd be going in to speak to him, saying, "Look, I'm not saying I've got to be playing for Everton because I know how good Louis is, but I want to be playing football." That was the conversation we'd be having, and to be fair to me, he understood it, and we just had to come to an agreement, and that's where the loans came in.
It sounds like it's a very honest conversation. You were very honest with yourself in that respect. You went on a few loans. You went to, was it Crystal Palace? I think there was Leicester Palace, as well. Yeah. Leicester as well.
Yeah, I went on a couple of 1 month, 3 month loans, which you could do at the time, and then the main loan I went on was Crystal Palace. That was a really good period of my career as well.
Yeah, I mean, a really good club as well, to be honest. I'm quite a big admirer of Crystal Palace, to be honest. And that's hard for me to say because I don't really like many other teams. But,
no, Palace is a great club, yeah.
Yeah, it is a really good club and great fans as well. I mean, I think you ended up going permanently though to Norwich, wasn't it, in the summer of 2011?
Yeah, it was, yeah. That didn't really work out, to be fair. I get asked a lot of all the time, do I regret leaving Everton? And the honest answer is, it was hard to leave Everton because I loved them so much, but it was time to leave. The mistake I made was not staying at Crystal Palace, really, because I'd had a really good time there. I'd enjoyed it. The fans liked me, the manager liked me, but obviously when a team in the Premier League comes knocking, then
it was not as renewed promoted, weren't they?
Yeah. So that I went to Norwich, didn't work out. Got a few injuries again there, and then moved on.
Yeah, he went on a couple of loans there, and he ended up at Huddersfield and a few other sides. I remember you found some very good form, didn't you, with Berry?
Yeah, no, I did. I'd been at Huddersfield for a few years, and then went to Birmingham, and I was only on a short contract there. So in the end, I went to Bury, who were in League One at the point, and just a case of going back there to enjoy my football. And thankfully for me, it was a great set of lads, good management, and it all came together. And I had a really good season.
As an ex-player, is it sad to see what's happened to Berry?
Yeah, it is, because there were some really, really good people there, and to see the way the club's gone is really disappointing because, like I say, it was a good club, good people, and it shouldn't happen.
Yes, too much of it happens these days, it seems, in football, where these kind of situations come about through, mismanagement and whatnot. But we touched on Birmingham City as well, of course. What was that like playing for a team in your hometown?
Well, that was it. Growing up, I had two dreams. Firstly, to play for Everton, and then I always wanted to play for Birmingham City. And, I think when I went there, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I really wanted to succeed. And, it was just the only time in my career where I put pressure on myself. And I think it showed in my performances. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But again, I look back and say I played for the team from where I'm from and the team that I grew up at, which is Everton. And, if you'd have said that to me at the start of my career, I'd have snapped your hand off. So something I'm proud of as well.
That's pretty successful. I mean, you've had a few other moves then since Sunderland and Bradford as well. And of course, now you've ended up at Tranmere, which is, of course, almost like coming a full circle. You're only down the road from us now.
Yeah, it's it. I mean, I'm getting older now, so I don't think I'll be playing a lot longer, but I've got at least 2 years left here and, maybe a few more after that. But I just wanted to be back, like say, close to the family, enjoying my football. And, I know how passionate this area is about the football, so it just seemed like it fit perfectly for me where I was at.
Yeah, you can't argue with it really. And I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good season ahead for you at Tranmere. I mean, as you push for promotion, hopefully.
Yeah, no, that's the aim. We want to get back to League One, which, I think the way we ended last season, we were all expecting to stay up. So for it to be curtailed and get demoted like we did was disappointing.
It's very, very cruel what happened. So I think it'll be great to see us try and bounce back. And I'm sure, hopefully you'll be at the forefront of that if that proves to be the case.
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan. I'll be trying to get a few goals and hopefully we get promoted.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you, mate. Best of luck for that. Of course, a few
Oh,
more
cheers.
things just before we finish. Of course, one of the players I didn't mention before was Leighton Baines. He's just retired. A real legend for the club. What was it like playing with Leighton Baines?
Yeah, I mean, I think people use legend too easily, but when you speak about Leighton Baines, he's definitely a legend at the club. I think, in the Premier League, you don't see any fullbacks with his stats and the things he's done. And to go along with that, he's a great guy. He's so down to earth, works really hard. And, you know, I was there when he joined. I'd actually been away with the 21s with him and I'd been pushing for him to come. So I'm going to take the credit for him signing. But
Brilliant.
no, but when he joined, people forget how hard he had to work to get into the team. It wasn't, he's straight in the team. It was a good few months before he finally got in there. And when he did, took his chance and just kicked on to
I mean,
another
we
level.
talk about your relationship with Julian Lescott. I mean, he's going to have a little Barney over this one because when I interviewed Julian, he took credit for Leighton joining because of there was a sliding doors moment at Everton. He said where if he'd have said that he'd have been happy to play at left back, Moyes wouldn't have signed Leighton Baines. So you and Julian can maybe like barter between us over who really swung
No,
Leighton Baines to Everton.
you'll have to ask Bainesy, but I think I'll have to take the credit for that. We were away and I was on at the scout all the time. You got to sign Bainesy, and I knew he wanted to come. To be fair, so
He's a blue, isn't he? So he
yeah.
doesn't
No,
doesn't
but
get
what he
it.
went on to do was incredible. And if you see him work every day, you know that it wasn't by luck. He's one of the best professionals I've seen, and deserves all the credit he gets.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the club's greatest players of the modern era, without a doubt. I think
Yeah,
he
definitely. Yeah.
adored like almost unanimously by the club, by the fan base. You just can't argue with that. And
No, he's a great player.
that's all because James Vaughan convinced him to join, from what I've heard.
Yeah, yeah. That's your headline.
There you go. Yeah. So and finally, of course, things have changed a lot since you were at the club. Of course, there's been a takeover, a lot of different managers since David Moyes. Seamus Coleman's now the only Moyes signing left of the club, the only one who even remotely maybe played alongside you at any stage.
Yeah.
What have you made of Everton in recent years? Obviously, it's been very, very different to the Everton that we saw under David Moyes when you were there. It's been a bit of a stop-start couple of years for the club. It's been quite depressing, to be honest, over the last couple of years as an Everton fan. It hasn't been great, but how do you feel now looking ahead? Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti is the manager. Thinks the first manager who's really, since David Moyes, certainly has got a large amount of approval off the fans.
Yeah, I think for me it was a case of I left and I tend to a fan myself. So looking from a fan's point of view, I felt like the last few years club lost its identity a bit, which was understandable in transition and stuff. But I feel like with the new manager in place and the way we're going with the investment and stuff, it looks like everyone's come back together. And if we all come back together and be as one again, I think the club can go on to have a great future. With the way it's set up, with the fans, the manager, the players they've got, the plans going forward, I think it looks like it's going to be a bright future.
That's fantastic to hear. And of course, as a player during that era under David Moyes, top four finishes and the European nights and stuff like that, you must know better than anyone. You can't understate the impact of having a united Everton fan base.
Yeah, I think we always knew that, and I think that's credit to David Moyes again. He instilled that in us that if we had the fans on side, then together we can do great things. And I think that year it showed.
It says a lot about your debut, really, doesn't it? When you're snapping into tackles as soon as you get on the pitch, that sort of tells you that you knew. David Moyes probably put that in your head, didn't he? Like, that's what you do to win over an Everton fan base.
Oh, definitely. I think that, like I say, we had a great relationship with the fans at that point, and I think the club needs to get back to that. The fans are very important to us as players at the time, and without the fans you can't do much. So as soon as the fans get back on side, and I think it's going that way with the fans have got to be happy with some of the signings that we're linked with and the managers in place. So there's no reason why it can't go back to that. And like I say, if everyone's together going in the right direction, then I'm sure it'll be very successful.
That's the aim, obviously. I mean, will you be watching, or will you get obviously only down the road now and on the other side of the River Mersey? Will you be getting to a few more games when fans are allowed back in, James?
Yeah, definitely. I want to go as much as I can now. As as I'm getting older, I found it a bit difficult when I first left to go back, but now, as you get older, and I just really want to be around the club again. It's a great club, and it plays such a big part of my life that I want to go back and support the club that gave me so much.
Hopefully you'll be supporting us through better times. Hopefully it'll be onwards and upwards from here, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So we're just going to finish now with a few... well, first of all, we'll just finish by asking, what is the target for Tranmere this season? It's got to be promotion, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We want promotion. I think we feel like we should be in League One, so that's gone now. But it's for us to prove that we should have been there. So we're going to work as hard as we can, and hopefully we can get back to where we believe we should be.
I'm sure that's it's quite a harsh punishment for what happened last season. Must have created a bit of a siege mentality. You're definitely going to be gunning for promotion this year, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone at the club knows what happened, and it was unfortunate, but it's happened now, and we've just got to use that as fuel to the fire and use that to take us forward.
I'm sure you will. Best of luck anyway for the season coming ahead. We'll just finish with some quick fire Everton questions. Just fire these at you dead quick, and just even if you just have to give a one word answer, it is what it is. Yeah. First of all, best player you played with at Everton?
It's tough because I'd have to say Bainesy all round in their position. I think at a point you couldn't argue that he was probably one of the best left backs in the world. So
he was, to be fair.
I'd have to say him, but there was some, Mikel Arteta, and I thought Manuel Fernandes was unbelievable as well.
He was really good the season. That was around the time when you said you were playing the best stuff of your career. So that doesn't surprise me that you gave him a mention there.
And Louis Sahar as well. You can't not mention him. When he was fit and playing well, he was great for me. Finisher. He was the perfect striker.
Brilliant finisher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what we do is you've named a few names there. We have a little Everton 5-a-side team. If you had to pick 5 players to play a 5-a-side from your Everton days, who would you pick?
That's a good one. Goalkeeper, I think it'd have to be Nigel Martin.
Nigel Martin, yeah.
I'd have Jolien.
I'd be shocked if you didn't mention him.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how many defenders I want. I don't want too many. Jolien and Bainesy. Then I'd have to have... there's too many defenders, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard with a 5-a-side, isn't it?
Can I have 6-a-side? That'd be better.
Go on, let's make it a 6-a-side then.
Yeah, go on. We'll have 1 goalkeeper, then I'll have 2 at the back, Jolien and Bainesy. Then I'll have Mikel and Manny Fernandes with Louis Sahar up front.
There you go. Done and dusted.
Yeah.
And then, which one do you drop then when it becomes a 5-a-side?
Who do I drop? I'd have to drop.
I'll leave you to think on that one. Don't worry about
that. We're going to attack. Jolien's got to go. We're going to attack.
Jolien's got to go. There you go.
Jolien's got to go, yeah.
There we go. Next up, do you still speak to any of them with a silly question, really? You mentioned the likes of Jolien and that. Do you still speak to any players from your time at Everton, other than Victor, of course?
Yeah, no. Obviously, when we see each other, we're all, something you can't forget. Like, live in the same area as Stubbsy, so I see him from time to time. And
brilliant.
I speak to a few. Jolien from time to time. Bainesy I spoke to not long ago. So it's all, they're all people who I'll never forget. And, if I get the chance to see them, I'd always try and speak to them and have a phone conversation or whatever it may be with them. So, yeah, I do speak to a few of them.
That's brilliant. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, given how closely knit that team was, that you all still stay in touch to some extent.
Yeah, no, it was a great group of people, and I'm sure that as you get older and you see people, you'll become closer and closer again.
Definitely, and of course you get on well with the players and of course the fans as well. What's your memories of Goodison Park and the Everton fans? Is there anything in particular that stands out?
No, it's just like I say, from the minute I started playing for Everton, the fans with me have been brilliant. And even now, it's been a long time since I played for Everton, but if I see any fans and they recognise me, it's always, they show me a lot of love, and it makes me feel really good that people appreciate the work I put in for Everton when I was there.
Yeah, that I can speak for everyone. I think when we said you were desperately unlucky in that respect, weren't you? I think the fans have very high hopes for you, and it's certainly a case of the fans still have a lot of affection for players who give their all for Everton, and it was clear that you did that.
Yeah, I think that for me is what Everton's about, and that's why I say I hope we can get back to that point where everyone's working for the same goal, and the fans are as passionate as they can be, and the players are as passionate as they can be. And if that happens with the players we've got now, I'm sure it'll be a very successful future.
That's brilliant. And of course, finally, before we finish, do you have a final message that you want to say to the Everton fans about your time at the club?
No, just thanks really, because like I say, the support they gave me and made me feel like on top of the world when you're playing for them, and even still now to this day, when I see anyone, they're great with me. So I just want to say thanks, and it's the support that I received. It's something I'll never forget.
That's fantastic. And of course, you're only down the road, so if you want to show your face around Goodison Park, I'm sure you'll be welcome with open arms, mate.
Yeah, I will be a few times in the coming future.
Yeah, let's hope we can get them fans back in the ground as soon as possible, and you can join us. Maybe I'll say that you haven't even retired yet. I was going to say get some drinks down, but maybe that'll be a couple more years before.
Yeah, a couple of years, and I'll definitely do that
before you can think about that. But there you have it, guys. James Vaughan, ladies and gents. Real pleasure having you on, mate. Don't forget to give this video a like and also drop us a comment. Let us know your best memories of Vaughan during his time at Everton. Definitely get involved. Let us know. Subscribe as well for more great content. All that's left for me to say is thank you so much, James Vaughan, for joining me on the show today. It's a real pleasure for you to take the time out and talk to me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, the pleasure's mine, mate. And of course, for you guys watching, thank you for tuning in on the Toffee Blues, and we'll see you next time.